1, 2, 3, testing. Good morning, Kahal Kadosh. Moadim lesimcha to everybody. Tisku leshanim rabot. Today, the 6th day of Sukkot, the Ushpizin of Yosef Sadiq. Also, today is the Yortzeit of Rabbi Eliezer Papo, the famous Pele Yoez. Today is the 20th day of Tishrei, corresponding to the 5th day of October. Today's class graciously sponsored by the Levi family, La'ilun Nishmat, the beloved mother, Katriella Bat Bela Malka, Alea Shalom, graciously sponsored by her children. Additionally, today's class, La'ilun Nishmat, Andrea Lili Bat Zakieh, graciously sponsored by her son, Mr. Uri Jamal, and a family. So we have a few topics that I'd like to discuss today. Ushpizin of Yosef Sadiq, the Pele Yoez, and the great night of Hosha'ana Rabbah coming up in a couple of hours. So let's start right away, I believe, in the order of the scheduling with the Ushpizin of Yosef Sadiq. So, interesting enough, when we talk about Yosef Sadiq, we all refer to Yosef Sadiq as the midah of the Yesod. Yesod in English literally means foundation. The foundation of holiness of a man. What makes a man holy? This is a simple question, but there is not a simple answer. There are many elements of life that determines the holiness of the person. Torah learning is one of them. Mitzvot, praying, lifestyle, all of the above are accurate and they are all equally important. But there is one particular area that the Hachamim teach us about, the Tikkun HaYesod. The meaning of the word Yesod in English means, thank you very, very much. The meaning of the word Yesod means foundation. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam She'akol Nihiyah B'dbaro. Now, when we talk about foundation, foundation is imperative for anything in life. Meaning to say, you want to build a house, foundation. You want to build a condominium, foundation. You want to expand the synagogue like we're doing in the back, foundation. So even though that the foundation is not visible, but it's definitely a non-negotiable item when it comes to building. Because if Hazve Shalom, the foundation is not strong and it's not solid, so the building or the structure that you're going to build on top of it will not really have the power to withstand situations, winds, hurricanes, whatever situation it may be. All of the above is related to the physical element of life. But there is one more concept related to the Yesod, and this is called the Yesod of the Berit Milah, or the Shemirat HaBerit. So it says a very interesting Hidush in the name of Gedulat Mordechai, and it says as follows, that on the day of the Ushpizin of Yosef Sadiq, and this is a Hidush, through eating, we make Pegam HaBerit Tikkun. I repeat, it says, Ki bazeh se'udah, the se'udah that a person eats in the Ushpizin of Yosef Sadiq, יש יכולת בכוח האושפיזה קדישה לתקן כל הפגמים שפגם בברית ולעשות הכנה להבא. I'll translate. Through the meal that a person eats in the Ushpizin of Yosef Sadiq, gives the power to repair the past and to prevent challenges in the future. The way the Pasuk writes in Sefer Bereshit, Be-Yosef hu hashalit. What's the meaning of the word Yosef hu hashalit? Most of us will say, Moshe, Mehila, Yosef was the ruler. The ruler, Shilton. Shilton means ruler. So we understand, historically, Pharaoh appoints Yosef to become the viceroy of Egypt, so it makes sense. But it says, Shalit be'isro. He was able to conquer the Yetzer Hara, and it brings the Yeshua to the person. physically, the world of Sefirot is divided in body parts. What does it mean? For example, I'll go very quickly. The right hand connects to Abraham Avinu. The left hand connects to Ishaq. The torso, the combination of the left and right, connects to Yaakov. The right leg in honor of Moshe Rabbeinu. The left connected to Aharon. The area between the legs, it's called the Yesod, the foundation of Irat Shamayim of the person. That area belongs to Yosef HaSaddik. Why? Because Yosef HaSaddik, alayhi shalom, was able to overcome the temptations and challenges that he had to endure in Egypt, especially without having any kind of support system. Now, David HaMelech, which is Ushpizin of tonight, Hosha'ana Rabbah, and throughout the entire day, represents to the topic of Malchut. Malchut in English means kingdom. What part of the body that Sephirah connects to? Short answer, the mouth of the person. The most dangerous part of the human body is the mouth. The mouth can get us into trouble. The mouth can prevent problems. How many times we, thank you so much, gracias. How many times we say things and then we realize that we shouldn't have said it, etc. So the kingdom essence of life is connected to the mouth of the person. But we'll save David for tonight through the night. I cannot promise you that we'll have a light broadcast with Torah in the morning, but definitely we'll record through the nighttime when we have the tikkun in the synagogue to discuss the greatness of the Ushpizin of David. But I'd like to add one more concept in the name of the Hida HaKadosh. The Hida HaKadosh brings a very interesting concept. Now, the Gemara writes, Ana mizra'a de Yosef ka'atina. I am a descendant of Yosef HaSaddik. And this is not applicable only because my name is Yosef. I happen to have that zechut. But what does it mean? So to understand this better, I think that it's important that I mention a short verse of the book of Tehillim that says, Bnei Yaakov beYosef Sela. That means, David HaMelech says, we are descendants of Yaakov and we are descendants of Yosef. I understand Yaakov Avinu is the founding father of the Jewish people, so we are called Bnei Abraham, Ishaq, and Yaakov. But why does David HaMelech insert Yosef as it goes Abraham, Ishaq, Yaakov, Yosef? What happened to the rest of the Shevatim? So I believe that the answer says as follows. Every Yehudi, it's called Yosef. Every one of us, irrelevant of your name, we carry the spark of Yosef HaSaddik. What does it mean? In the chapter of Tehillim that belongs to the Thursday day of the week, also Rosh Hashanah, there is a pasuk that says, Aidut biyosef samo, beseto al eres Misraim, sefad lo yadati eshma. What does it mean? Aidut biyosef samo. This is one time that the name of Yosef is changed from Yosef to Yehosef. Why? So in plain short answer is that who testifies that Yosef in Egypt did not have spiritual hiccups? God says, I'm testifying. Aidut, that's the meaning of the verse. Aidut means a testimony. Be Yosef. You look at the name. Yod Ke Vav Samach Fe. So if I remove the He, what do I have? Yosef. So Hashem added one letter to the name of Yosef. God says, I'm the eyewitness and I'm signing on the name of Yosef that Yosef in Egypt remained pure as he was in the time of Yaakov Avinu alayhi shalom. It goes further. Why are we called Yosefim? Yes, we are called Yehudim. We are called Yehudim. Why we are called Yehudim? Because Yehudim comes from the word Yehuda. And the word Yehuda comes from the word Hoda'ah. When you look in Sefer Bereshit, that Leah Imenu gave birth to Yehuda, the pasuk there says, Hapa'am odeh et Hashem. This time, I will express my gratitude to the Almighty. And right away, the question pops up. What do you mean this time? Only when you have the fourth child, you start saying thank you to God? What happened when you have child number 1, 2, 3? The short answer is that for sure, Leah Imenu expressed her gratitude. But she wanted to do something special in honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And what does she name the child? Yehuda. Yehuda is Lashon Hoda'ah. Gratitude. So every time you say the word Yehuda, Leah remember, oh, thank you Hashem for giving me a fourth child. And why does she make such an emphasis on the fourth child? Short answer, because according to the prophecy that they had, each one supposed to have 3. Rachel, Leah, Bilhan, Zilpah, 3 children, 4 wives, 12. Now suddenly God gives her a bonus round. He says, God was extra good to me. Hapa'am odeh et Hashem. So that's the reason why we are called Yehudim, to remind ourselves to always be thankful to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So then, why we should be called also Yosefim? For 2 reasons. The word Yosef means what? To increase, to add. Yosef alechem kachem 1000 pe'amim. Yosef Hashem aleinu, lei. Okay, why do we say Yosef? Yosef means to add, to increase. What's our mission in life as Yehudim? We cannot get stuck in your own ways, in the old days, or in the old traditions. What does that mean? Let me ask you a question. What cell phone do you have? What number? Chazako Baruch. Why don't you have iPhone 2? You need to upgrade. Right, Antica. It's antique. Or watches. Why you switch your watch every month or every year? I'm not saying to do this. Or why you upgrade your wardrobe? You call a contractor, I'd like to upgrade my kitchen. So the same way, and I'll add one more. In the world of business, you don't want your business to be the same as last year. You want your business to increase. You want your family to increase. So Hamavdil, that is the message of Yosef. Yosef means Mosif Beholech. A Yehudi cannot get stuck in Avodat Hashem. Our rabbis tell us that in godliness, relationship, either we go up, either we go down. What does it mean? There is no middle of the road. Okay, I do this, I'm happy, dayenu. Haz v'shalom. The same way that in materialistic and physical items we want to grow, in our godly relationship we must grow. But message number 2 is the concept of personal holiness. And I'd like to add one more thing. That when we talk about personal holiness, it's not limited only to the way that a single man behaves with his Berit Milah. But we're talking about also how the marital relationship between husband and wife works. Hence, we have the fundamental mitzvah in a marriage called Taharat HaMishpacha, the family purity. And interesting enough, that even though on halachic matters, the wife is the one who needs to go to the mikveh and do the checking and do the preparations to go to the mikveh, yet this mitzvah is called Taharat HaMishpacha, family purity. Why is it called family purity? Because this level of godliness in a marital relationship not only brings holiness to the relationship between husband and wife, but even the children born in this relationship carry a certain level of kedusha, which brings us to the other topic, a simple topic that the kahal knows, but I think is appropriate for me to speak about it for a minute or two. The topic of Shomer Negiah. What's the meaning of Shomer Negiah? Shomer Negiah, for those who may not be aware, refers the basic prohibition of a man touching a lady. Let's be honest, without anesthesia, without flowers. Short answer, every lady that is not your wife, your mother, your daughter, your granddaughter is off limits. That's it. That's called shomer negiah. Sometimes when you talk about shidduchim, and they tell you in the shidduch profile, right, what they tell you? What they write? Shomer negiah. What does it mean, shomer negiah? That the boy and the girl that are going to go out, they understand that there is no physical contact. And it's important. Why? Because often, and I say this from rabbinical experience, people get in trouble for not having their boundaries set up properly. And they do things, and they get physically involved, emotionally involved. The hormones jump. The emotions play a role or a mega game in the brain of the person. And sometimes the person, out of embarrassment or out of lack of solution, proceeds. But actually, the intention is not to proceed. The problem is that they got stuck. And you understand what I'm trying to say. So our Hachamim gave us boundaries. And when the Torah says, don't get close to a lady that is nidah, anyone, any female, until she goes to the mikveh, she is nidah. So let's say you're going out with your fiancé, for example, right? She may be your wife, Hashem, and you have an invitation, and you have the ring, and you have everything set up. But guess what? Single girls don't go to the mikveh until when? Until mamash before the wedding. So the girl is nidah from the moment that her body started to function as a young girl. So that's the reason why the Shomer Negiah protocol becomes activated, and that's what happened with Yosef HaSadik. Can you imagine being in Egypt by yourself without any type of support whatsoever? Only Hashem. And the lessons that he learned in the time of his young man as a teenage boy that left when he was sold by his brothers. But I think that the message of Yosef is very imperative. Yesod, the personal level of holiness of a man, family purity in a marriage, physical distance when you're not married to the young girl, go out, bond through the emotions and not through the hormones. Because that's the challenge. Today, unfortunately, we have a lot of hiccups throughout life, but I think that the message of today, it's loud and clear. Let's talk about, very briefly, about Hosha'ana Rabbah. Just a free sample of Hosha'ana Rabbah. The bulk will be delivered tonight, Be'ezat Hashem, throughout the night. But as we know, Hosha'ana Rabbah, the way the word says it, Hosha'ana Rabbah. The moment, so to speak, of the great salvation. Hosha comes from the word Yeshua, redemption or salvation to the person. Na. What's the meaning of na? Although in Hebrew the word na means please, but tonight is the 51 day from Rosh Chodesh Elul. If you count from Rosh Chodesh Elul till tonight, tonight is the 21st day of Tishrei, 51 days. Rabbah means great. So it says that the gates are still open and the person can reverse whatever negative decree may have been given on the day of Yom Kippur in the moment of Ne'ilah. Allow me to explain. The Gemara in Masechet Shabbat brings a few questions that everyone will be asked. There is no way to escape these questions. The good part of it is that we know what the questions are. Gemara in Shabbat brings 4 questions that after 120 the person will be asked. Question number 1, Nasata benatata be'emunah. There are 2 meanings to this question. Were you honest in your business dealings? Question number 1. Or that can be translated if the person developed their emunah throughout their lifetime. That's question number 1. Question number 2, Kabata itim la Torah. Did you set up specific times of the day to learn Torah? Question number 3, Asakta bepiriya berivia. That's a tricky question. The meaning of that question means, did you occupy yourself in being fruitful and multiplying yourself? Which this explanation begs a question. What is the meaning of this question? If the question is, if I had children, what's the big deal? Look on my file and you'll see I have 4 children. The answer is no. That the question is not on the physical element, but the question is, Pirya berivya. What's the meaning or the difference between Pirya and Rivya? Pirya means from fruitfulness. Rivya, multiplying. Multiply. What's the difference? It says the first question is on your children. The second question is on your grandchildren. That's the meaning of the question. Okay, you brought children to the world. Chazaku Baruch, Mabruk, Mabruk, Mazel Tov. But what did you do with them? Did you raise them in the way that they can deliver Torah and Mitzvot and Ma'asim Tovim to your grandchildren or not? That's the meaning of that question. And you need to be careful. Don't jump to answer that. Each person knows their own answer. And obviously pray for Siyata Dishmaya. The fourth one connected to Hosha'ana Rabbah is Tzipita LeYeshua. That question means if we hope for Mashiach to come in our generation. But it says the Bera Haim that this question is also connected to the day of Hosha'ana Rabbah. And what does it mean? So it says, this question will be asked, Madua lo tzipita leYeshua? When it came to the day of Hosha'ana Rabbah, why didn't you do something to enhance your judgment? Why? Because today, it says the Bera Haim, and I have all the sources in front of me, that the night and day of Hosha'ana Rabbah is so powerful, is so holy and so great, as I said inside. Between tonight and tomorrow morning prayers, we're going to do 14 mini selihot. Yani whatever we didn't do in Elul, we're going to do it in the next hours. 14 selihot, short version, abridged version, and all related to the high holidays. So it says that a person needs to maximize and taking advantage of the 24 hours starting tonight by Ezat Hashem. And that's why the Pasuk says, in the day of Yom Kippur, we find in the day of Kippur, we find in the day of Sukkot. How does the reading begins in both days? I'll give you the answer right away. Ach be'asor lachodesh. Ach b'hamisha asar. Why the word ach? Are you kvetching? Usually when you say the word ach, what does it mean? Uli, oivei, ach. So it says here, Meshe Chochmah. You know what it means? That even Kippur came and left, and even Sukkot came and left, we still have one lifeline. This lifeline, it's called the word ach. Ach. Aleph Chaf. Why? Because tonight is ach. Tonight is the 21st day of Tishrei. Today is the 20th. Tonight is the Chaf Aleph. How do you write Chaf Aleph in Hebrew? Aleph Chaf or Chaf Aleph. So it says, even though that we did had Kippur and Sukkot, but we still have one more lifeline called the day of Hosha'ana Rabbah. So obviously, there's a lot of things that we can say, but maybe I'll say one more, and then I'm going to talk a bit about the Pele Yoez. So the Mate Moshe brings a very interesting Hazal that says, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, listen to this dialogue. The Almighty says to Abraham Avinu, Ani yachid be'olami, ve'ata yachid be'olamecha. I'm one in the heavens, and you're one on the world. That means Abraham Avinu, Ehad Haya Abraham. Eten lecha yom chaf aleph betishre, shehu keyom haKippurim. God says, I'm giving you a gift. This gift is called Hosha'ana Rabbah, the 21st day of Tishrei, equals the Yom Kippur. So it says, what happens? it says that on this particular day, there is a Navi called Amos. Amos. The Pasuk says, Aryeh sha'ag mi lo ira. If you hear the lion roaring, will there be a person that is not afraid? So it says that what's the meaning of the word Aryeh? It says Aryeh is el Rashi Tevot. Elul, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Aleph Resh Yod, and the He, Hosha'ana Rabbah. The night and day of Hosha'ana Rabbah. And it says that the day of Hosha'ana Rabbah is a day that words cannot do the proper justice of how many things can the person achieve in these 24 hours starting tonight. Here he gives something which I rather not to speak about it for many reasons, but it says there are formulas that a person can do to determine what's going to be with the year. But I'm not going to tell them to you. I'd rather keep it quiet. But allow me to finish with one short paragraph, and then we'll speak short minutes about the Pele Yoez. There was a great Sephardic Mekubal known as Menachem Azariah Mipano. He was a great tzaddik, a great Talmid Chacham, and he had a gift. The gift was called the combination of neshamot. He writes a lot about the topic of Gilgulim, reincarnations, and it says the following. Remember the beginning of Sefer Bereshit, when Adam and Hava unfortunately ate, Hashem comes to Adam, and what does he say? Ayeka, where are you? Where are you? And Rashi asks, what does it mean? Hashem needs to ask Adam, where is he at? But as Rashi says, Hashem is teaching us derech eretz. Now when you have to speak to someone about something unpleasant or negative, you should not go straight to the heart. Engage in conversation. But it says that God, Hashem, is giving a Adam Arishon a secret code. And it says, Ayeka, the Aleph of Ayeka stands for Beriyat HaOlam. The first day of the creation of mankind was Rosh Hashanah. What does that mean? When Rosh Hashanah comes, we don't celebrate the creation of the world, because the world was created already from the 25th day of Elul. But why do we celebrate Rosh Hashanah? Short answer, because Adam Arishon, the ultimate goal and purpose of the creation of the world, was created on that day. So it says the Aleph refers to Rosh Hashanah, that is the first day of the year. Now, so far so good. Then I have the Yod. What's the Yod? The 10th day of the year. What is the 10th day of the year? He says Yom Kippur. Now, and what is the final two letters, Chaf He? It says Chaf for Tishrei, half of Tishrei, which is now, and He, the first 5 hours of Hosha'ana Rabbah. And that's why we begin the Tikkun before Hasot. We don't wait till Hasot. We capture the Tikkun in the first hour of the night. So it says here that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, already through Abraham and through Adam Arishon, brought us the Yeshua of the day of Hosha'ana Rabbah. So Be'ezat Hashem will discuss this in a much deeper level tonight through the Tikkun. With your permission, I'd like to spend short few moments, literally a few moments, maybe 5-6 minutes tops, to discuss a bit about the Pele Yoez. Pele Yoez, Rabbi Eliezer Papo, does not really need my introduction. I believe that thousands of Yehudim worldwide learned the Pele Yoez. Even in our synagogue, I think we did 3 times the entire book in the early years. Maybe it's time to resume. But I give you a short brief introduction. Rabbeinu Eliezer Papo was born in the year 1785 in a place called Bosnia. You heard of Bosnia and Herzegovina? Okay, the Pele Yoez passed away in the year 1828 and is buried in Bulgaria. I believe in a place called Silistra or Silistria. So thousands of people literally traveled to the kever of the Pele Yoez, and there is a lot of things that he writes concerning learning from his book. But I'll tell you basically what he writes in the introduction, and it says in the Sefer Orot Elim, and it says, those who learn, those who know how to read, generation after generation, I ask you a favor. That's what he wrote. It says, do for me an act of kindness, do a hesed of my neshama, and review from my sefarim that I wrote. And it says that perhaps it will influence people to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I give a commitment, says the Pele Yoez. And it says, listen to the words, if I have the merit to be ushered into Gan Eden. Can you imagine? The Pele Yoez says, if I have the zechut of entering Gan Eden, whoever does something for me, I'm going to reimburse them with good things, and to beseech the Almighty on your behalf. Pele Yoez says, do something for me, I'll do something for you. So now we're going to activate this lifeline. We're going to activate the Pele Yoez to pray for everyone that is with us, watching live, listening live in the Sukkah, or listening in a deferred recording. So in the zechut of reviewing and reading what the Pele Yoez writes about the topic of Sukkah, which I think is appropriate to discuss, definitely will be a good melitz yosher for all of us. And it says right away, the Sukkah is one of the most beautiful and warm mitzvot that we have in our entire Torah, that happens once a year. And Baruch Hashem, throughout the generations and history, Am Israel, they are careful in building a nice sukkah, a beautiful sukkah, zakaha hulakehon. Great is the merit for those who are able to fulfill this great mitzvah. But he also says that there are people who say, why should I build a sukkah? I don't have to build a sukkah. And he says that that mindset, if you don't have the possibilities, let's say you live in a building, in a condominium, you don't have the patio, okay. But if you have a house and you're not going to build a sukkah, maybe the whole zechut that you have a house is because you're able to build a sukkah. Take my words. I'm an eyewitness to this statement. I said this the other day. Baruch Hashem, we always found ways of how to celebrate Sukkot in the Sukkah. If it's reserving the meals at the synagogue, or if it's going to a restaurant during the holidays, which is very common in South America specifically, to have meals. If you don't have, unless you live on the ground floor or first floor, you don't have a patio. So in my childhood years in Argentina, I remember vividly, Baruch Hashem, for what I remember, we ate in the Sukkah. We moved to Brazil. Requirement number one from the real estate agent, make sure that the apartment has a patio. And the real estate agent says, I will strongly suggest you not to rent or buy an apartment that has a patio. So my father asked him, why not? He says, very simple, because many times people from the upper floors, they drop things into the patio. That's your fear? I don't care. Get me an apartment with a patio. And Baruch Hashem, we got the apartment, same block in the same street of the synagogue. And Baruch Hashem, we moved when my family moved to Brazil, and not only we were able to eat in the sukkah every meal, but we had 4 families from the building that will enjoy the sukkah. So even though we needed only a quarter of the patio, we built 2/3 of the patio in order to be able to enable others. And we spoke about this in our family table, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees the way that a person wants to do, and Hashem sends the Yeshua. That's what the Gemara writes, Baderech Shadam Rotze Lalechet Molichin Oto. Shamayim guides you. What do you want to do? You want a sukkah? I give you a sukkah. You want, what do you want? Abale Taher Mesayein Lo. And it says as follows. Remember, Sha'arei Teshuvah writes, שסוכה עומדת לכפר על האדם במקום גלות. Galut, I said this in the holiday. I say it again quickly. If God forbid, a decree has been made against a person that they need to lose their home, God forbid, or they need to be evicted from the home, the zechut, says the Sha'arei Teshuvah, that the person remove themselves from their home to the sukkah. Shamayim says, Tikkun Galut checked. Unbelievable deal. Goes even further. Then we have the Ushpizin that we have been learning throughout the entire week. And that's the reason why the Kedusha of the Sukkah is not something to be minimized. He says, Gedula Kedushata ke Kedushat Bet HaKnesset. It says that the Kedusha of the Sukkah is like the synagogue. Why? Because the Kedusha of the Sukkah lasts for the full week of Sukkot. But as I said in the past, to me the Sukkah has more benefits than the synagogue. Why? First of all, what makes the synagogue the Bet HaKnesset? The people, the Sefer Torah, the Echal, the Teva, the Kedusha, the Minyan. But what makes the Sukkah the Kedusha? Just the Sukkah. I don't need to bring a Sefer Torah into the Sukkah. I don't even need to put a mezuzah into the Sukkah. The walls have Kedusha, as we learned the other day. The Sukkah, it's called Tzilad Memenuta. So therefore it says, the Pele Yoez, be careful the way you conduct yourself in the Sukkah, because the Sukkah has the potential to give us Kedusha, betosefet ha'ara benafsho. It increases the irat shamayim of the person. Lekol hashana kulla. Yani 1 week of investment in the Sukkah, it gives us the power throughout the entire year. And he continues discussing about the Na'anu'im and everything that is connected to the celebration of Sukkot, especially the mitzvah of Besamachta Behagecha. So therefore, it says, everyone should make the effort to develop an extra dosage of Simcha when it comes to celebration of Sukkot. And the Zohar Kadosh asks, and it says, how can I bring happiness into my life? He said, Mahashavot tehorot. Put good thoughts, positive thoughts in your mind. That creates a welcoming environment in the brain of the person, and that brings to the person Yeshuba Da'at, that brings certain peace of mind and tranquility, and that brings the concept of Simcha. And therefore it says, also in Sukkot, Iten et kolo leshorer, sing in the Sukkah, ulzamer tefillot, when you pray the tefillot, the Hallel, the Hosha'anot, read them, bekol rina betodah, Hamon Hogeg. That's the pasuk that we say in the days of the celebration of Sukkot. So Yiratzon, that the zechut of the Pele Yoez, the Ushpizin of Yosef HaSadik, and the mega day coming up tonight, the beautiful day of Hosha'ana Rabbah, which is the last of the Ushpizin, David Malka Meshicha, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu shower us with great beracha and aslaha in all our matters, in all our endeavors, and Be'ezat Hashem, the zechut of Hosha'ana Rabbah may upgrade the judgment given to each and every one of us from Kippur, if it's good, let them continue. But if Haz v'Shalom, there could have been a couple of hiccups or gray matter in that particular seal of the moment of the Ne'ilah, let it be upgraded with Kedusha and in honor of the mega day of Hosha'ana Rabbah. מועדים לשמחה, חגים וזמנים לששון, תזכו לשנים רבות to everybody, ברוך אדוני לעולם, אמן ואמן. רבי חנניה בן הקשיא אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא